Mass arrests of innocent people and deportations by the Soviet Union began in 1941 in all of the Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. The aim of the deportations was to eliminate any resistance to Sovietization policies by deporting all intellectual people, including teachers, members of Catholic organizations, engineers, lawyers, journalists, doctors, businessmen, and many others. The majority of Lithuanian deportees were employed by the logging and timber industry and have to live under deplorable living conditions and often had to starve. In total, around 300,000 people were deported or imprisoned by the Soviet regime, of which around 50,000 were shot dead or died due to poor living conditions. Despite these terrible actions against Lithuanians, our people managed to resist Soviet pressure, and in 1989 we organized a peaceful political demonstration for the 50th anniversary of Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the Baltic Way. 2 million people from Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia made a 600-kilometer human chain from Vilnius by Riga to Tallinn by holding hands with one another. This message of freedom, together with admirable solidarity and unity of the small free nations, was sent to the world. I'm studying now here at the University of Oxford, and when speaking to my friends, I noticed that quite often we are not aware about Soviet deportations from Lithuania or a remarkable way of peaceful resistance, the Baltic Way. So I told them more about it, and now I want to share with you their perspectives on this historical period of our country.
So my reaction to the deportations was, a bit of surprise. In the US, especially during this time, we're very much involved with the Cold War. And so Russia was sort of viewed as this enemy state. And it's really sort of hard to trust the record from this time period, because there's a lot of, it's hard to tell what's propaganda and what's fact. To know that this is a real thing, I don't know.
I had heard about Baltic deportations, but just limited to Estonia, because I had a friend who was from Estonia, and he told me about his grandparents being deported under Stalin, and then they came back. But I didn't know that it was a much more extended phenomenon, so that included also Latvia and Lithuania.
I think every country, every culture in school has a tendency even to focus on the history of its own country, which I think is understandable. Every country wants to know more about teaching their school the history of their culture. And obviously, in my experience growing up, history class focused a lot on World War II and the origins of Britain and the British people. But I'm very surprised that we didn't then learn more about the outcomes of World War II. Because obviously these are a direct outcome of the Nazi-Soviet pact, and it really shows, I would have loved to learn at the time, just to see the long-lasting impact that the war had.
I think in general, maybe the Western world didn't pay that much attention because maybe they saw most of Eastern Europe as like just one collective thing, and they didn't sort of pay attention to the fact that there were lots of actual different countries that were being occupied, and they just thought all as the Soviet Union.
My reaction to the deportation would be, first, I feel angry to know there are such facts happening, in this part of the world. And I do feel a little bit curious at the same time why they would actually, undertake such an action, because I couldn't see the context.
So my country, I come from Iraq. So from this we can learn a lot, especially to deal with a lot of issues we have in our country, to protest in very nice, peaceful way.
The real message of the Baltic Way isn't here are countries choosing to stand by themselves necessarily, but here are countries choosing to work together. and stand together for what they think is right, which I believe is a message that really needs, the people of Europe need reminding at the moment, especially the people of the United Kingdom, in my opinion.
It may be that their Christian and Catholic backgrounds probably has helped in that, because Christianity in general has been a religion that, from what I know, has really fostered a sense of community in general. So maybe that has kind of imbued and influenced society.
I think the Baltic people showed a lot of strength by being resilient against these deportations, and to continue on and function as a society whilst these things are happening. I think it shows a lot of strength as a people.
I think it was amazing seeing all these people hand in hand. I certainly couldn't imagine, at least at this point in time, the British people being quite so ready to join hand in hand. And I think it's so fantastic to see, and really shows the strength of these people and the conviction and dedication to what was right, and a love for one another as well. I think it shows a real good understanding of what is right and the right way to enact change. I think we can all learn a lot from that at this time. I thought it was really beautiful to see.